Jeffrey today. Help me, Jeffrey. Oh my God, really? Oh my God, feathers.
I'm Chris. This is clearly not Jeff.
Hey, this is clearly not Jeffrey.
We gotta yell out. We are
Kombat Kreations.
Yeah, it's not a show until we say stuff like that. All right. So today's episode, we obviously have been. Jeff has been taken away from us.
I had to step in because we're in a studio and they're building things. I have to make sure things are going to be on the up and up. No fire breathing, no blow torches, no messes on the floor, no fun, you know. But then I come in here and he's got rules for me like, don't kick the table. And I want to kick the table. And he's like, well, don't cut anything. This is a sharp object. I'm like, I'm not Jeffrey. I know hot glue is hot.
You'd think he'd know hot glue was hot by now, but
no.
but he learns it every time. Yeah, so Jeffrey's not around. We're going to continue building stuff, and we're going to take a pause this round for our helm build because we really want to cut into foam and start doing a bunch of stuff, and
that's messy.
We make a mess.
I'm a clean freak. Ask anybody.
I know that sometimes on camera it looks like, oh, they're making a little bit of a mess. And you don't understand some days what this studio looks like afterwards.
One day they thought the floor was white, and it's actually black.
So today we're working on a side project, a little bonus to the Kombat Kreations, where we fix some of this.
I want to know how you're going to fix this because I played with the Dremel tool. That stuff goes everywhere.
We are making a special chamber.
Ooh.
A Dremel chamber. And I started figuring out plans for this, right?
Wait, so you came pre-prepared for this?
Yes. So I was sketching this out, and I had like some wooden beams and acrylic panels and all this sort of stuff. It actually hinges. This thing was over-engineered. It was beautiful.
Some nice backsplash on the side to give it some color.
Right. So and then in the middle of this, I went to the hardware store. I was all ready to go shopping, and I started looking at stuff. I want this, and I want this, and I stopped in the middle of the store and said, "Whoa! I am way too lazy for all of this."
Are you sure it wasn't, whoa, this needs to be cheap?
Well, there's that, because I'm cheap, but it wasn't really terribly expensive. Nonetheless, I decided that was way too much effort. We're going to go a totally different direction. The neat thing is that we're going to go in a direction that's super simple, so that not only are we doing it here and building it today, but this is something anybody can build, and so we can keep our mess contained here in the studio, but it's something you'd be able to, like, Dremel and sand and stuff in the house without making a mess everywhere.
Although I have to wonder, how are you going to be doing it, like, you're going to be like, ah, like...
We're getting to that. All right, so to start off with, and this season I've talked about how we're going to be a little more transparent with costs and things because we are spending a little bit of cash this time around with our project. And so this one was about the $20 mark, assuming everything was brand new. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this. This is our chamber. It's so much easier than building a big thing.
Of course, because all you have to do is take off the lid and just start working in it. I mean, that takes no effort at all.
But in doing that, your stuff's still going to fly out the top.
That's what safety glasses are for.
Yeah, but you still got a mess everywhere.
True, you got a mess.
So we're going to do a couple of things. Number one, so I did pick a big bin. I went and looked at the bins, and I decided to check one with more volume. So I listened, but they were all pretty quiet.
Dad joke of the show, y'all. There you go.
Anyway, I found a big one, and I chose one that was clear because it's going to be a lot easier for what we're doing, especially with the cameras all in it on our projects and everything. And you don't necessarily have to do that, but you will want, as we start getting into this, you will want some panels that are clear that you could always cut off parts and add some acrylic and that sort of thing to be able to see through it. But there are a couple of things that we're going to do to get started. So number one, we're going to end up with this way. The lid is going to end up receiving all of the stuff, right? We're not going to get into it from the top. We're actually going to cut some areas where we can get into it from the side.
Ooh, like
we can see through the gloves. We could, yes, just like that.
Yeah.
But we're not going to use gloves. Instead, we're going the easier route.
The lazier route.
We're going the easier route, and so we've got a little bit of this heavy-duty plastic drop cloth. Now, we're going to use that to kind of fill in the holes around where we're putting our hands so we can still run through and do what we need to do as far as the dremeling, and that'll kind of take place to help keep all the contaminants and stuff contained in the tub.
So if you're doing this as like a lab thing, why wouldn't you want it with the lid on top so it's easier to just dump out? Because now your lid's down here, you're going to have to flip it over anyways to dump it out. Why wouldn't you just build it with the lid on top?
Because this way I can see in it.
Well, put some peepholes in the lid.
I can see it from here. I can see it from the side. We're gonna add a little bit of a light in here.
Okay.
It's gonna be so much better this way.
All right.
All right.
I'll trust you.
Here, there's a couple of things that we're gonna do at once though. I'm gonna mark out a few spots here where I'm gonna be able to put my hands in. I'm also gonna cut a spot for a cord so we can run our Dremel in without having to run it through the same hole. And I'm going to cut a little hole in the side for our light. And this is just kind of an extra thing. We don't necessarily need a light in here, especially in the studio where we've got all the lights all over the place.
It's just nice to have.
But it is nice to have, and if I'm doing it at home and I want a little bit of extra light on my project, this is kind of a neat extra little piece in here. But it's good that you're here because I do need a little help from you.
Damn.
So what you're going to do is you're going to prep our little drop cloth barriers. So basically you're going to take a piece of plastic drop cloth about so tall, about so wide, and you're going to make 2 of these.
It's this wide.
You unfold it.
Okay, never mind.
It's like, oh.
Okay, I see.
You know what? I would have had to tell Jeff the same thing, so it's okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to make 2 of these pieces, and basically you're going to take a long rectangular piece, and you're going to cut strips, leaving them attached at the top, kind of like a plastic hula skirt.
Oh, we're going to hula today, huh?
Here's your knife. Don't cut yourself.
I'm not that much of a Jeffrey.
Don't cut yourself. All right. Now, to begin, while I'm popping in here, I'm going to move the lid out of the way here so I can work on just this.
You need 2 of these or just 1 of these?
I'm going to need 2 of these.
All right.
1 for each arm. I'm going to roughly mark out here where I want.
Isn't this wide enough to do 2?
It's plain. Well, what I want though is the skirting. So I'm going to glue it above the holes here that I'm putting my arms through, right? And the skirting's going to hang down below, and because it's going to be extra long, so that we can do it in a couple of layers. So it'll help. It'll help in the end. So I kind of roughly marked. That's really, really, really rough. Some potential holes, and I'm going to cut these out. Basically, I'm going to score it and go kind of slow with the knife.
I didn't know it was a competition. I can start cutting faster. Cut my hand off. That's what's going to happen.
I didn't say you were going slow. I said I'm going slow.
Why do I get this janky knife? Why don't I get a nice knife like you? You give me like this bootleg. I work at a warehouse. There we go. I see how it is.
Yeah, buddy. There we go. There we go.
Janky, I work at a warehouse type of knife.
And it doesn't really matter how wide your little bands are. They don't have to be all nice and neat.
Hey, you're talking to me here. I'm going to give you this nice swirly one right here.
You're good. I can count on you to give me the swirly. All right. Now, actually,
I should do this from the get-go. Now you're going to have uneven things. I have to stop doing this.
So, I'm getting things cut over here.
I get the easy cut.
Real.
He's over there doing the manly cuts. I'm over here. I need a better knife.
Well, I'm cutting through.
The other side.
This particular plastic isn't real friendly to this, and so.
That's what you get for going cheap. Ow.
That's okay. It's still going to work and do exactly what we want.
Until it becomes sentient.
Until it becomes sentient. Oh, look, a little plastic piece went flying.
Isn't this what we did this
If
for?
only I had a little box to cut the box in. There we go.
Oh, I totally cut into your table.
This is a work table.
Okay. So make lots of cuts.
Well, just don't tell Valerie. And make sure that's good enough for my arm. Oh, that's plenty big. Ah! All right. Which means this one I marked out here on the other side is probably too big. And I will just make it similar to what I got going on. It's very good that you're here instead of Jeff for this particular project, because I would imagine that he would likely cut himself repeatedly in the process of this. I should probably actually go a little slower than I'm going.
Jeffrey will never leave again. I wrote my name on the table. No, Val, I didn't do anything.
That's okay. She uses this for her videos, but she has a tablecloth. She'll never see the cuts. There we go. All right, got a couple of spots there. Plenty of room. All right. I want to make another little hole. Let me try this one just to see if that was any better.
That's what you get for giving me the good knife.
Oh, smacking the camera.
Hey now. We're not smacking no cameras around. They're the only ones in here working hard.
Well, but at least we're not making a mess on the floor.
True.
Except for that one piece.
We'll fire it later. Working at the car wash. Do. Car wash, yeah.
I got a little spot. I may have to size that up just a little more a little later when I have a Dremel to test out. One more little hole in here. There we go. There
I hope Jeffrey's watching and saying that I'm going to replace him as a co-host soon. He's in Houston watching the stream going, I hate you, Gavin. I hate you.
So the next step here, as soon as I have this cut, we're going to glue that in place. And
with hot glue?
We are not going to glue that in place with hot glue.
Well, it's because there's no one here to burn themselves with it, Jeffrey.
I have the hot glue.
Some assistance.
No, I just need to poke that real good and make
Poke
sure
it real good.
that this fits through. That's going to be perfect. All right. So next step is gluing. So what I did was I made 2 holes. I'm going to show the camera here for my arms. Obviously, I drew a giant line and didn't need to.
It was like googly eyes.
I drew 1 hole down here to be able to run a cord through, so I don't have to run it through the same hole as my arm. And I did 1 here, which is hard to see because it's clear, but I did 1 here so that for the output of a light. That you can also use like a battery tap light or something like that, so you don't have to worry too much about that. So the next step is gluing this in. So we're going to take 1 of these at a time.
It's just a long old strip, dude.
All right, well, we'll chop it off in the middle somewhere. And we could use hot glue for this. I actually went and purchased some plastic JB Weld because I wanted to try it out. We got plastic to plastic. Originally, when I thought about doing this, I'm going to get this over to the camera in just a sec. Hold on, camera. Originally, when I thought about doing this, I thought that instead of the plastic here, we could use a silicone cooking mat and chop it up, which would be really good. But this is so much
So how long
faster.
do you want this?
It doesn't matter. Just you know,
Because you want to go back and forth,
there.
right?
Yeah, so I'm going to go back and forth. So basically, I took some plastic JB Weld, and all of the types of JB Weld are the same thing. You squeeze out the 2-part mixture, you get it mixed up real good, and then spread it on where you want. Now, since this is going to be the top of what we're doing, I'm going to hang these on the top of our holes. And all I'm going to do is spread a little
Start spreading the news.
On there.
I didn't know this was a musical episode.
Specifically for plastic. It should hold real well with this stuff.
Can you touch it?
The downside with, well, I wouldn't touch it now. The downside with the silicone mat is that being silicone, it doesn't stick to much at all. And so I was afraid that it would come apart. I'm just going to mix them in.
So what happens if you do touch this stuff?
If you do touch this stuff, it's not the end of the world. It's not crazy toxic. I would suggest washing it off when you can, but it's not like something that, oh, I touched the JB Weld, I got to go run to the faucet and do something about it right now, or call emergency services or some craziness like that.
Could you mention that 911 call?
Actually,
I got JB Weld on me! 911 quick! They're like, what?
I think this is probably...
Oh, must be another crafter emergency.
Yeah.
Following that crocheter nightmare last night.
That's right. That's right. All right, so we got one side in. I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side here. You know what? We got enough. We got enough that you got to. That's your skirt.
Darla wanted me to put it on. We're not using anymore.
So we're not using anymore. This is going to be plenty for our purposes. And so this stuff is going to take a few minutes to cure. And all I'm doing is sticking it in here, and once it's cured, or actually, I'll get going on this, and then we're going to pop a light in there. But while we're doing that, so I wanted to talk about, it's good that I have you in here for this as well. This season, we have switched over. We are now Kaiju
Labs Media.
Kaiju Labs Media.
Tight enough.
So tell me.
Okay, so we decided we needed to rebrand because our original idea was to create a whole bunch of different offshoot studios, and it just really wasn't meshing well because, you know, when you have a brand, you don't want to dilute it. And so Fanboy TV was all pop culture, geek related. But we had opportunities to do other things, like Good Gay America and some other upcoming shows. So also with, you know, modern culture, fanboy is kind of not a good term. We want something very inclusive, something very fun that describes us in an interesting way, and it hit me at South by Southwest.
Yeah.
And at South By's, you know, you don't talk about anything out loud because it will get stolen. So we're in line, and this hits me, and everyone's looking at me like I'm having a heart attack because I'm like, I got to get inside. I got to start buying URLs. I got to start looking all this stuff up. So we're secretively in the theater on our phones buying URLs so nobody can watch us. It was amazing. And so we had lots of fun, and that's why everyone wanted to come back to do live TV. So we're doing the Block Party Revisited with fan service.
We got fan service, and I know we've got us.
Mary Sue Game.
Sue Game.
Kombat Creations and Brad's Red Web. I can't do this the whole show, Darla. I'm just telling you now. And we're having lots of fun, and we're going to have some new shows next season that are pre-recorded about role-playing and gaming and things like that. And we have Good Gay America and some other fun things coming up that we're just allowed to explore and have fun with. And that's, I mean, we are a big family. Everyone missed coming up here and being part of the family. We all missed you building and Jeffrey.
Right on. Now what I'm doing at this part, just to let you in, and I've turned away from the camera. Sorry, camera, but you can still see through there a bit.
There's see-through.
There's a housing for this light, and I've glued on the housing, and I'm just giving it a little pressure with that initial part of the glue. So this glue says it takes 15 minutes for initial cure. Obviously with this stuff in here, it's not going to take anywhere near that, but this may take a minute to get to a point that we can pick it up.
Get a Dremel and fix, because I would cut myself up in my hands, and this is like sharp glass right there.
So there are a couple of things that we can do at the edge of the hole. So there were a couple of sharp cuts. So number one, we could just pop that with a Dremel a little bit to smooth it out, or some sandpaper, something to that effect. We could also carefully hit it with a little bit of a heat gun in order to smooth it out some.
I hope it doesn't burn. Like, literally, that's what you're doing?
What you would do is you'd flip it up so that this stuff is out of the way, because this stuff will melt real quick. And you just hold a heat gun on it with some passes so that it's not just straight heat. So you're passing back and forth. And as it starts to melt a little, it'll kind of self-smooth out. And we'll make that a whole lot easier. Let's see if our little light is enough to be able to move.
Yeah, our audience says you could also use tubing and split it.
Not
It
enough for
didn't
us.
stick. He's like, nope.
Well, you know, it says 15 minutes. It's probably actually 15 minutes. It might be something I'll have to do between shows. So then, at this point, we can put the bottom back on, but essentially, I'll be able to move my hands through the stuff and do what I need to do in here. And this, being shredded like that, helps keep the stuff inside any of the little particles and things. So if we're doing something that normally you might have to put a mask on so you're not breathing in plastic particles and stuff, I don't have to do that anymore because all the plastic particles are in here.
So do you want to trim off the excess so it doesn't get stuck in the tools? Like, I'd hate to see the Dremel tool get stuck in there.
That would probably be a real good idea.
Look at all the extra.
That is some extra.
jellyfish.
But see, it's better to have extra now and be able to trim it off than have to completely redo what we're doing. Now, the other little thing here is that if we end up with some sort of a project that's too long or too big for the box, we can add another hole with another bit like this to the side and let our project come in from the side and just do bits at a time if we wanted to do something like that. Now, here on our show, I don't think we're going to have anything that's that large that we need to worry about, but that's something that's an additional functionality that you could run with the exact same box and the exact same premise.
Interesting. Or you could just use a really long box.
You could use a really long box. And then we just have it clamped down here and latched in place, and then even if we're moving the project around,
it's gonna.
we've got everything
that's
kept
pretty
in
smart.
one place.
I gotta give you this much. That's pretty smart. I'm not gonna be worried about messes anymore.
And as soon as I get that light in there, then we'll be able to just plug it up, run it here at any point that we want. We'll be able to have a light directly in on our piece.
Nice.
And again, it's not something we would necessarily need here in the studio, but if I'm at home or something like that.
I could see you at home under the covers of the light crafting, and Fal's like, what are you doing down there? Nothing.
That's right. Yeah, well, you know, that's when I'm sent to the other room to sleep, then I've got my crafting stuff. And so in total, this was about $10. The plastic was about $2. This is the heavy-duty plastic.
Yep.
And being the heavy-duty plastic, we can actually use it for all sorts of other craft stuff down the way, including actual drop cloth, if we ever wanted to. And then the JB Weld, again, we could have gone with the hot glue method. The JB Weld was a little bit of a spend at like $6 or so. Some of the versions of this stuff might have some scent to it, and I know we're known for smoking out the whole place here, but this stuff didn't smell bad at all. So we didn't have all the fumes and stuff that we have to worry about with other types of glue. And being plastic, it just adheres all the plastic to plastic, so it's really good at that. So we are now ready. We can now make a mess in the studio.
I approve.
That's good. That's good.
For now.
For now. So next week, as we start moving into things, we're going to continue on with our helm project, and it's going to be time to make patterns based off of the drawings that we did last week. Now, Jeff still won't be here. Someone will be filling in, but what we've decided is that with Jeff's, the helm that we had here to measure out and everything fit him so well that we can use a commercial pattern for some of his that he can base off of. And then with mine, it's going to be a little more shaping and stuff, but we'll go forward with that as we do everything. Stick around, everybody, for some red web. Swing by next week as we launch into some patterns and stuff. And we're going to have more of a great season and Kaiju Labs. And
it's going to be lots of fun.
All kinds of fun.
Every Tuesday, you're going to be here live, 7:30 to 9:30, for this kind of fun and my kind of fun with fan service, because it's my show. So
that's right.
I can't write my name on it.
You got to wear this on fan service.
My hula skirt.
But go make yourself a box. Keep your mess contained. Keep everybody happy. And continue crafting.
Crafting! I was late on that one. Sorry.
That's all right.